Ever been to a show and the lighting just totally blew you away?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you are in the right place because we are diving deep, deep, deep into the world of performance lighting design today.
Exciting.
It is exciting. We're going to be using RoleCatcher's insights, their career guides, their job hunting tips, everything to give you a backstage pass into this career.
Yeah, it really is more than just pretty lights,
Right.
right? It's about setting the mood, guiding your eye as an audience member,
Mm-hmm.
even making you feel things. You don't think about that just from a scene change.
It's true.
Yeah.
And RoleCatcher calls these lighting designers masters of light.
Ooh.
Which, okay, yeah, a little dramatic, but it is about taking that director's vision and literally illuminating it.
It is a powerful thing, lighting.
It is, it is. But we're not here for buzzwords. We want the real deal. So walk us through what a performance lighting designer actually does, like day to day, or should I say night to night?
That's a good point. It's not a 9 to 5.
Right.
It starts way before the curtain even rises.
Oh.
You're digging into the story, the emotions, the overall vibe the director wants to evoke. Like, imagine you're designing for, I don't know, a dramatic scene, maybe a secret is revealed or something. That light, that needs to be totally different than a big, like, joyous musical number.
Totally. So you're in collaboration with the director, really getting that deep understanding. And then what? Like, do you just start pointing spotlights? What happens next?
I wish it were that simple.
Yeah.
We use a lot of software, actually, to create these lighting plots. Think of them like blueprints, but for light.
Yeah.
And every instrument, whether it's a sharp-edged spotlight or a soft wash of color, it all gets put on that plot.
Oh, yeah.
And we got to think about not just the look, but like, will those stage lights wash out the costumes the actors are wearing? Or even just, can the audience see the actors with the set design we've got going on?
Oh my gosh, there are so many layers. Like, as an audience member, never even consider. It's so much more technical than I think people realize.
Oh, 100%. It's
Yeah.
very technical.
Yeah.
And then as that technical side comes together, there's also the human element. We're coaching the lighting operators,
Yeah.
the folks actually running the show, making sure each cue, each shift in light happens exactly when the director intends it to during rehearsals.
So you've got that pressure of getting the technical cues right on top of this creative vision. And RoleCatcher does not shy away from the cons of this career, like the demanding hours. Was there ever a moment you felt that pressure, like, intensely?
Oh, yeah, tons. But I'm remembering this one production. It was a really technically ambitious show with moving lights, haze effects, you name it.
Uh-huh.
We had this crazy complex scene where the lighting had to sync perfectly with a rotating stage, and live music was happening at the same time.
Oh, wow.
We were up until like 3 in the morning the night before opening, just tweaking those cues to get it perfect.
Intense. You're like a stage technician, an artist, and a time management guru.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
All in one.
But you know what? Even with the crazy hours and the pressure, when that scene finally came together perfectly, the audience gasped. The director was thrilled.
Okay.
It was all worth it. And that's the pro that really keeps you going in this field.
Totally. Hearing you describe that aha moment, that's the magic of live performance. But not every lighting designer starts out doing those massive, technically challenging shows, right?
Right.
RoleCatcher talks about these different career stages, like assistant, junior designer, all the way up to senior. What does that path actually look like for someone starting out?
Yeah, so, you don't just waltz out of design school and suddenly you're calling all the shots. Like any craft, you've got to apprentice.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher talks about supporting the creation of lighting plots at that assistant level.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Oh. Yeah, break that down. What are you actually doing? I'm picturing someone like running around with colored gels, but I know there's got to be more to it.
So much more, yeah. You might be focusing lights, which means you're aiming and shaping the beam, or you're troubleshooting technical issues. Basically, you're the right-hand person for the more experienced lighting designers.
Yeah.
Just soaking up their process.
Oh, okay.
Like, I remember my first gig as an assistant, I think I spent an entire week just labeling cables and organizing the lighting inventory.
It sounds glamorous.
So glamorous.
But those little details, though, they matter.
They do. You got to start somewhere.
You do.
And then you move up to junior designer, and that's when you really start to get your hands dirty. You're designing more elements yourself, but you still got a mentor guiding you. And I always tell aspiring designers, don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yep.
Even if you think they sound silly, you're still learning the ropes, both the technical side and the creative side.
Totally. And then RoleCatcher mentions mentoring as a key responsibility once you hit that performance lighting designer level.
Yeah.
What's it like kind of making that switch from the mentee to the mentor?
It is so rewarding
Hmm.
to see that spark in someone else's eyes. Like when they finally nail a difficult cue or they come up with this really creative lighting solution, it's amazing. Reminds me of why I fell in love with lighting design in the first place.
It's paying it forward.
It is.
But also, like, you're shaping the next generation of lighting wizards.
That's right.
And then senior lighting designer, that's like the top. Those are the rock stars, right? They're the ones getting called in for the really high-profile gigs.
The big leagues, yeah. They're leading the charge on these massive productions. It could be a huge outdoor music festival, a play with crazy intricate scene changes, anything really.
Yeah.
And often they have multiple designers working under them.
Yeah.
So you need that experience, but you also need the drive to keep learning, which is huge.
Yeah, which is something RoleCatcher highlights. It's not enough to just get the job. You have to keep your skills sharp, right?
100%.
Yeah.
The technology is constantly evolving. New lighting instruments are coming out, new control systems. Plus, every show is different. Every director you collaborate with is different. So you're constantly challenged to problem solve, to think outside the box.
For sure.
RoleCatcher is all about pushing designers to attend conferences, take workshops, experiment with new gear. It's about staying curious.
I love that. And speaking of staying ahead of the game, RoleCatcher also has a ton of resources for the job hunt itself, especially in this digital age. And let's face it, sometimes just looking at job boards can make your head spin.
It's overwhelming.
It is, it is.
But RoleCatcher really emphasizes that it's not just about like blindly firing off applications. It's about strategic job searching.
Okay, so give me the inside scoop. What makes a lighting designer's application stand out in a sea of resumes? What do you need to do?
For one, tailoring your CV to each specific job you're applying for. Don't just have one generic resume. Highlight those skills and experience that they're looking for.
Yeah.
And this is cool. RoleCatcher actually has tools to help you identify those keywords and skills gaps.
Oh, that's so helpful.
It's huge.
So much of the online job world feels like you're just playing this guessing game. Like, what are they looking for?
Totally. And that's why I love that RoleCatcher doesn't just stop at the, techie stuff. They understand that this industry is all about connections, about who you know. And they have this whole section on networking, which can make or break your career.
Networking. Okay, so it's not just like for those awkward industry mixers, right? How does RoleCatcher suggest you actually use your network in this line of work?
Well, they've got this really cool feature. It's called their network tool. And it's like basically a CRM, but it's for your career.
Oh, okay.
So you can keep track of everyone you've met, what you talked about. Super helpful after, like a frantic networking event where you've talked to a million people.
Totally, when you're like, wait, who is that person?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And RoleCatcher also emphasizes that networking isn't just, going around asking for favors.
Right.
It's about building genuine relationships, reaching out to lighting designers you admire, maybe just for a quick chat or like an informational interview can give you really great insights.
It's about learning from the best, expanding your own network, even if it doesn't, lead to a job right that second.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes those conversations can spark new ideas.
Totally.
RoleCatcher reminds us that those lighting design skills, those can actually translate to other fields like sound design, which has its own whole world of technical stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Or even like pyrotechnics, which is cool.
Hold on, wait, pyrotechnics. Okay,
Yeah.
that is not a career path I was expecting.
It's pretty wild.
What would a lighting designer, what would you even bring to that world?
Well, it's more connected than you'd think.
Yeah.
Both fields, you really need that understanding of timing, of spatial awareness, because, you don't want to set the stage on fire, hopefully.
Right.
But pyrotechnics are all about visual impact.
Yeah.
And who better to understand that than someone who, literally works with light?
So you're choreographing not just the light, but also the fire, explosions.
It's pretty cool.
That is so cool. But let's go back for a second to that light art aspect that RoleCatcher mentioned. It's not all just stage productions. Right?
Not at all. Some lighting designers, they're drawn to, creating art installations or immersive experiences.
Yeah.
Think of using buildings as canvases and light projections that can tell stories without even using any words.
That's amazing. So you could be working on a concert one day and then an art gallery installation the next.
Exactly. And that's what I love about it.
That's so cool. So it seems like with lighting design, the only limit is really your imagination and maybe, your budget sometimes.
That's the truth. But really, it's a field with so much creative potential, both on the stage and way beyond.
Well, I think we've illuminated some very exciting possibilities today.
We did.
For our listeners out there, all those aspiring lighting designers, what's one actionable step that they can take, like today, to start moving towards this career?
Well, RoleCatcher is a fantastic place to start. I mean, dive into their career guide, play around with the tools we talked about,
Mm.
and don't underestimate the power of just reaching out to someone already working in the
Oh,
field.
that's such good advice.
Most lighting designers, they love to share their passion with someone who's eager to learn.
I love that. Explore the resources, check out some local theater groups in your area, production companies. You never know what opportunity might be right around the
So
corner.
that's right, just get out there.
And who knows, maybe someday you will be the one designing lighting for Broadway.
Wouldn't that be something?
It would. And on that note, it's a wrap for this deep dive into the world of performance lighting design. Until next time, keep those creative sparks shining bright.